Is Shareef Abdur-Rahim set to
Sure
join us?
is.
Oh, well, let me give you the official introduction. The president of the NBA G League, former associate vice president of operations with the NBA, played 12 seasons in the NBA, former Kings assistant GM, assistant coach. And I got to do, I think, most of the highlights of your career on SportsCenter because it was never Abdur-Rahim. It was Shareef Abdur-Rahim, and had a great career there. Good to talk to you. How are you, Shareef? You might be on mute.
I am doing well.
There you go. There you go.
You know, once a week you do that on Zoom. So one of the features. But I'm doing well, man. How about you?
I'm doing great. How about your Sacramento Kings? Did you take any pride in them making the playoffs this year?
It's really cool. You know, I was I guess I was on that team that last made the playoffs. We lost to San Antonio in 6. And Sacramento is a great town, great fans, great people. They deserve to have a good team. It was one of the really fun places that I lived and played. My family, we lived there probably almost 12 years. So I'm just ecstatic. You know, ownership has done so well there in, keeping the team there, investing in the team, investing in the city. So it's just, I think it's a great NBA story this year. How the season they've had, they started fast and been able to keep it going. I'm really excited. And I think, unlike a lot of people, I think that they can get in the playoffs and actually make some noise. I think they're not going to be pushovers.
Well, they can score. They can't play any defense.
Yeah, but I don't know how many teams are playing defense.
Well, the Lakers are playing some pretty good defense.
Yeah, the Lakers get. I mean, you see what LeBron is doing. It's amazing. The game he had. I caught the clips during our first round game in the G League, and it's amazing that 38, 39, 40, whatever he is, what he's doing is unbelievable. So it should be fun. The Lakers are going to be tough, but again, I think the Kings are a great story this year.
All right, you played against early LeBron, late Michael, prime Kobe.
Yeah, Kobe, same draft, same era. Michael older, obviously, and then early years LeBron.
Okay, let's start with LeBron. You first saw him, and your thought was what?
It's not possible that he's 18 years old. There's no way he's 18 years old. He's a grown, at 18, he's 6'8", 250. It's impossible. So just, kind of, if you were building a basketball player, I think people had said, if you built a basketball player, it'd be this guy. If you had built a basketball player, it'd be LeBron. That's, just first thoughts.
Kobe, when you first met him?
I've known Kobe since we were 16, 17 years old. So, it wasn't, Kobe, he went from being jelly beans, his dad played in the NBA, son, to his own deal. And, always, talented, always, focused, but, he turned into, something, iconic and, probably top, whatever player of all time. Yeah.
You got a story about Kobe? I mean, since you guys
my best story of Kobe is I think a really innocent story is being, I'm a year older. So being, 18 and probably 16 or 17 and being at ABCD camp in Teaneck. And at that time, there was no cell phones. And the way you talk to your parents was waiting online at the payphone. And I could remember I had a good day at camp. He had a great day at camp, and him being ahead of me online and him talking to his parents. It had to be, Jelly Bean and Pam, and him telling them, stuff he was doing. He had dunked on the guy and everything that day. And him telling them this. And I'm behind him man, come on, man, get off the phone. I want to call my mom, right? And that's the, again, that's the most innocent story. That's the best story. I mean, all the, game winners and trash talk and great performances. It's a bunch of those, but that's the one that kind of sticks with me because it was was, you know, I had a great day at camp. I want to go tell my dad.
Yeah, and then you listen to Kobe's great day at camp, and that's why the phone call's taken so long. Like he's going to tell everything that he did in camp. We're talking to Shareef Abdur-Rahim. Then you got Mike at the end of his career.
Yeah, I mean, Mike was in the Bulls. It was like just precision. You know, it was like clockwork. Everything with him. For me at that point, I didn't see, you know, progression or early days. I didn't see the growth, but I just caught him. It was like, you know, you can see him like turn on the clock, and you know, when it was time to go, he went, and he was. I mean, he was just a monster. Like, you know, I caught him. It was like, you know, fourth or fifth championship already. And, you know, when they came to town, it was like the Beatles, and, you know, they mess around with you for a couple of quarters and make, you know, really like make you think you had a chance. And then at some point, you know, like Phil called the timeout, and, you know, it was like, okay, for like 9 minutes, it was like, okay, now it's over. And what happened? And then, but I also caught him. I played against him later when he came back in Washington, and he was still, you know, great, but probably a little more vulnerable then. And, you know, you had a chance. Then you had a chance. Like, you had a chance against him then. But, you know, Chicago Michael is what I remember.
You're president of the NBA G League. Does the G League recruit? Can you recruit high school players?
Well, we do. I would say educate. You know, we have the option for the G League Ignite team. You know, past years, guys like Jalen Green was with us, and Jonathan Kuminga. This year, Scoot Henderson is, you know, one of our guys playing in the G League with us, and he'll go on and be drafted this year. So I'd say we probably more educate than recruit, and it's, you know, just been an option that we wanted to provide for really top high school players. I say top players around the world. You know, this year we have a young man, Sidi Sissoko from France. We have London Johnson, who has international background. Babacar Sine from Senegal. So it's become a world team. But I'd say, Dan, probably more we educate them and just try to share the option that we have as a place for young kids to develop.
Well, what's the benefit of going to the G League over, let's say, LeBron's son, G League or 1 year in college? What would you recommend?
I think it's individual. I think it's personal. I think it's, you know, where the focus of the young man, the guys that have come to the G League, what I picked up is, in their mind, they're professionals. They want to, you know, kind of live a professional life, focus on developing and preparing for the NBA. We still provide them a scholarship or tuition to college, and they start taking some classes. But the main focus is like integrating into the NBA and NBA life. They played the full G League season, so Scoot Henderson this year, he lined up against, you know, a Ty Washington from, you know, the Rockets, who would be on assignment, or Kennedy Chandler from Memphis. So he's actually playing against, you know, Chris Dunn. He's playing against, you know, NBA players. So you get that, you know, experience. Whereas, you know, he goes in next year. Obviously, it's a learning curve, but you know, he's had those experiences already playing against professionals.
But you spent 1 year at Cal, but could you have come out of high school and gone right to the NBA?
It's so different. Like, Garnett did it our high school year, so same high school class Kevin was, and, you know, it was just so far away at that time, Dan. You know, like I never, you know, in high school I didn't play against NBA players. I only played against a few college players and other high school players. You know, you didn't see all the games. I just think the proximity now makes the kids feel as though they're right there and they can do it. They play pickup in the summer and they like know these guys. I just, for me, maturity wise, mentally, I didn't think I could make the jump. Whereas, like, when I saw Kevin do it, I was like, oh, wow. Like, you know, I just played against him. I was like, maybe I could have. But it was just so, you know, the proximity wasn't there. It didn't feel as close. You weren't as connected to it. But I mean, these guys now, I mean, you know, all the training and, you know, playing against other NBA guys, like, they can, you know, Rod Strickland was the one I was doubtful of playing him in a complete G League season when we first started. And Rod Strickland, you know, he was with us at the time. He's gone on now to be the head coach at LIU Brooklyn. And he said to me, like, no, he's like, they could do it. You know, he's like, they're good enough. And, you know, he was right.
How surprised were you that the NBA is going to, keep the one and done? That I thought that we were moving towards letting, these guys come out of high school and go right to the NBA.
Yeah, like when I've been a part of it now on both sides, like being a player and, now working at the league office. Those things are a lot of times when we have these conversations, it's fluid, right? And you get into it, and sometimes you come out in a different place. I think also from one thing that's interesting is when we first started talking about ending one and done, or changing the age limit, that the landscape is totally different, right? Like at the time, you didn't have NIL, you didn't have the transfer portal. I think a lot of the movement was like, okay, it's fair for young kids. You didn't have a G League that allowed them. I think a lot of it was like, it's fair that young kids should be able to go earn a living. I think you can, you see it now with some of the college kids going back to school, some coming to G League. They have those options. So maybe it's not the same, momentum as it was in the beginning.
Did you ever see a grizzly when you were in Vancouver?
I never saw a grizzly.
Yeah, I didn't think you did. I
don't know why it's a grizzly. That's a good question.
I like the uniforms, though.
Yeah, I tell you, the new ones are ours.
The Vancouver Grizzlies.
Yeah, I tell people, and they become really popular. Like those teal ones, we hated the teal ones. Like we hated the ones that are really popular now, like that teal. We didn't like wearing those. Maybe my second or third year, they made us like an alternate robe. It was a black one that said Vancouver, and we always asked, like, pack those. And our equipment guy, he's like, well, they make me, you got to wear these teal ones so many times. And we like, okay, don't, when we go to New York, when we go play in the Garden, we don't want to wear those. Put on.
Yeah, well, it's like it was the Hornets had teal. Like teal became a big color there for a while.
Yeah, but I mean, whoever was like doing the marketing and brand, they had it right, because it's like I see people, they sell like crazy even still. So
well, we always love the throwback, the retro. We don't like it in the moment, but then after the fact, we look back and like, those are dope, man.
Yeah, my son, he loves them. Like he's like, man, these are like, you got any laying around? I was like, something like that. I said, man, we really did not like those uniforms.
Do you have a big country story?
My fondest memories of country is getting them out of Gans in the summer, and having them come to Atlanta, where I'm from, and hang out with me, and like meet my family, and where he was from. I mean, it's like, I'm exaggerating, but it's like 500 people in his town, and him coming and actually being in Atlanta and having fun and walking around, like country. he actually dipped, like tobacco. He dipped, regularly. And I never, I'm from Georgia, so I had like family from, a more rural part of Georgia that did it. But I never saw a basketball player dip. So that was like always, interesting to me. Like as soon as he got off the court, he'd go get his can and he's like spitting in his can. I'm like, man, what are you doing?
He wasn't dipping during games, was he?
No, he didn't dip during the game.
Okay.
He took it out before the game.
Great to talk to you, Shareef. Hope you're doing well, and congrats on the G League.
Yeah, thank you. It's good to see you, Dan.
Shareef Abdur-Rahim, president of the G League.